recently when we've seen the rise of the Flying Dutchman. They came out of nowhere when they started kind of wiping teams aside, starting to finishing top 4, and really put themselves within a chance of that KC place. Well, this is going to be NaVi's first test, I feel, this tournament. We've been asking the questions, how are NaVi going to play against X, Y, or Z team? But this now really is a team who finally are going to be on their level.
Love to hear that as pool play. It didn't maybe go as easy as expected for NaVi, but they got the job done. Winners bracket round 1, they looked much different, much better. The question is how strong will Flying Dutchman enter this series? Already getting a little bit of revenge for one of the players on their team that was replaced by the Black Hand. Let's see if they can do the same story here and now in game 1. We are the winners bracket semifinals between these two, and the battle for Overshield is underway. Something that Shorzy said on the desk, and I will reiterate, is that in scrims, NaVi have got the better of Flying Dutchman on both occasions in the last couple of weeks, a 3-1 and a 3-0. So that's a very good map for them. You love to hear that because so much confidence is built throughout those scrims. You're ready for just about anything that the Flying Dutchmen are going to throw at you if you're on the side of NaVi after those kind of scrim results. But we'll see if a tournament story is different. Respectful, finding a big kill onto the Rocket player is a great step to try and break into setup, but it does look like Flying Dutchmen have pulled the flag, and now Respectful under a lot of pressure right now with respawners in the shotgun area. NaVi look on their back foot early. NaVi going back to try and kill this flag runner as well. It's going to be MOSE, and he should go down, will go down. And that's always a difficult decision to make if you are the players who are attacking, is do you go back? But that's very important play from Respectful. What a route, what a shot. Respectful, the awareness to go back to his base and to actually find 2 before going down. Stops that flag run dead in its tracks. But look, they still have work to do if they want to get map control, because so Snakey, front of their base, being such a nuisance before he's taken down. NaVi finally look like they have a little bit of breathing room, Dan. 2Foxy is a player that we've not necessarily highlighted in our AMD performance players. He's not been in the head-to-heads, but he is such a key factor to this NaVi roster. He needs to be careful where he's being focused from right now, though. Yeah, one of the players that's really impressed me so far for this NaVi roster this weekend, it's the rest of the team that I want to see play a little bit more consistent. Unfortunately, he goes down. Now on board with Kimbo, he's taken down. So Flying Dutchman have had map control the entire time so far, and with that map control, we'll see if they're able to get another successful flag run going, because it's been looking promising for Flying Dutchman's fans so far in game 1. It's been an absolute war down bottom middle so far, that's for sure. Just deaths left, right, and center. And it's very difficult to try and get out when you are this NaVi team. You can see they're sending players bar, they're sending players lockers, and finally, they managed to get that initial kill. It's a second too late, though. Overshield in the hands of a Flying Dutchman member. It's Clonely. Finds the first, spots a second, but the teamwork for NaVi is too strong, and for the first time, NaVi have map control with 3 dead, and they're already able to get pressure into the base. Are we now going to see the difference between these two sides? When you get that map control, it's about what you do with it. Are you able to get a flag on the move? Are you able to trap those spawners? It looks like it is very much the case for NaVi. This is the first flag we've seen reach the halfway point. Look at the difference between NaVi and Flying Dutchman's control. When NaVi has control for a second, when they get 3 dead for the first time, they get the flag across halfway. Flying Dutchman now forced to try and play some defense with the flag in the middle of the map. They're able to get a first kill. And that first kill's big because it turns into 2. And now numbers in your advantage. The return should come in shortly. Very difficult to try and strategize against a team like Flying Dutchman, who just have a lot of raw individual talent and can win those fights. Rockets coming up, and you can see they're setting up for them as well, but Respectful's got eyes on it right now. So far, the Flying Dutchmen have dominated the power-up, power weapon story, and they're in a great position to try and secure these rockets. It's going to be up to MOSE to get his shield back. He just does that. He does just that. Picks up the rockets as well, and now Flying Dutchman with the flag on the move. Brand new set of rockets in hand, have a great opportunity to potentially get out to an early lead. Flag's going to be running in a unorthodox route, but it's certainly one that can work if you play it correctly. But you don't want to be leaving it behind. Those couple of seconds means he gets hit by a grenade, and that could be enough to stop a flag. But it looks like with kills going elsewhere, maybe you can get it back a bit further. They do lose 2 members, and he's immediately forced to stop running this. You think if he doesn't hesitate, if he doesn't slip up with that first initial flag run, does this one have a different storyline to it? Because NaVi have taken control of the Flying Dutchman base. They have got the return and now have a very realistic opportunity at a counter cap. And that's the danger of running it down shotgun, is you do leave yourselves very vulnerable to the overextenders being able to get such good grenades on you and get such good angles on you as well. It looks like there's not going to be a counter cap, but Overshield is popping. Foxy's in the right place. Yeah, it does look like for the first time NaVi able to secure an Overshield, and with that Overshield, they find the first kill. That should give 2Foxy and the boys some opportunity to get some map control, but unfortunately that Overshield, it's a race. Blinding. Multiple members of Flying Dutchman fly at him, and that Bulldog shotgun being put to work by MOSE, one of the best players, I'd say, in the EU region in Halo 5, a very impressive, highly individual skill player, and he seems to have found himself a roster that may just be able to compete.
Yeah, realistically, MOSE, who could have been on this NaVi roster, had things played out differently, but instead has had to work very hard indeed to get back where he is now. And the Flying Dutchman roster definitely complements his playstyle as he looks to get a little bit aggressive here. It's another double kill and a killing spree, but he's not going for that flag just yet. They know they need to kill some more members of NaVi first.
Yeah, MOSE spotting that player, bottom pillars as well. Able to get that information. That's another player for NaVi, maybe out of position as their base looks to be overwhelmed by Flying Dutchman, but a good job to get that player in MOSE removed from the bars in his killing spree, yes. But taking a look at the stats here, Dan, already the Flying Dutchman showing some great slaying prowess, and with that slaying prowess, maybe no objective done yet, but they have put themselves in such a good position to potentially steal game one.
Yeah, Snakey at the moment with 11 kills to his name. He's been the forefront of discussion in European scene for many different reasons, but he's certainly showing what he's made of here right now. 11 kills on the board, but we need to see him and the rest of the squad get some of these flags moving and look like they can capture it. We know that Bazaar capture the flag is a very difficult game to play.
Board dead for the Flying Dutchman and NaVi with control as rockets spawning up shortly. You're seeing Tufoxy want to slow things down, want to play for these rockets, maybe not get bar control just yet. Will that be a mistake from NaVi? Hesitating, waiting, typically doesn't benefit teams in Halo Infinite, but we're seeing NaVi try and slow it down. One of the characteristics that they are complimented for at times, and also comes back to bite them at times, and it looks like Flying Dutchman off spawn have been able to compete for this next set of rockets.
You wouldn't really believe in scrims that this was a 3-0 and a 3-1, considering what we've seen in the opening 7 minutes. With only 5 left to play, you imagine we might only see 1 flag go in, if at all, in the next 5, because both of these two teams are so evenly contested, and even though we've seen map control from Flying Dutchman, they've not done enough for it.
Jimbo with the beautiful shots creates the difference in numbers, and with that difference, he looks to push this flag. Kimbo finds one as well, so it's the Bow brothers that find themselves a few kills, make respectful with a third, and that was 3 dead for Dutchman. The flag on the move.
Flag on the move, but it's about where you go with this one. It's a more traditional route. There is going to be one player overextending. It's Snakey, but he gets taken down, and this should be a cap. Should be.
There's no amount of gunpowder that can stop this one from going in. Jimbo answers your question, Dan. There will be a cap scored in regulation. He punches this one in, and unlike the Swedish soccer team, we already see 1 goal scored here. 5 minutes left.
Jimbo now manages to get the dynamo grenades to work with. The map actually has an eerie silence about it. Finally some shots being fired as Flying Dutchman decide to make their move with that first pick. Snakey gets 2, but Jimbo is going to be a nuisance. Actually, I think it was a triple from Snakey. Yeah. That's what you need from your main Slayer. You need them to have that presence on the map so that you can push in and get a flag.
Snakey finds 3, MOSE finds 1. That means all 4 players are going to be coming off respawn, and unfortunately, Snakey just not quick enough to get into the enemy base. Maybe pushing through double doors was a mistake. You want to slow it down at that point because those respawners shut him down and just about deny any opportunity we were going to see from Flying Dutchman there.
NaVi are doing very well to defend when they need to, but also pick up the pace and get aggressive when they are required of it as well. I think you're right that they do like to slow things down, and sometimes that can be a detriment. But here on Bazaar, which is a slower paced game, they can play to their advantage. Kimbo just needs to hide away here.
I love the step-by-step process that NaVi has showed us. They like to control the middle of the map, and then once they have that control, they want to advance step-by-step into the tree, into the bar, and then to the flag. We've seen them have a successful flag run from it. Will we see it again? Respectful, wisely baiting himself with his normal shield, gets weak, then activates it. He doesn't even need to find the rest of that engagement as he activates his overshield, and now they're going to have a great opportunity to go up 2-0 here in game 1 because his flag is on the move and his overshield's still intact.
Respectful unsure about where to focus though. Snakey peeks from behind. There are a couple of players that have overextended as well from the Dutchman. But with 2 players going down, this flag still could move somewhere, but now with Foxy falling, that's probably going to be all she wrote with that flag.
And what a testament to Flying Dutchman's defense right here, but Jimbo, last guy alive somehow, behind enemy lines, able to get another touch. Doesn't look like it's going to affect the game too much. But Flying Dutchman, against an overshield player with the flag already on the move from a disadvantageous positions, are able to play a little defense. But it's the offense that we haven't seen from them come true so far in game 1. And there's not much time left in order for them to find that success.
I think what Flying Dutchman did well and do well when it comes to overextending is they usually send 3 to overextend, but 1 goes back to the base just to try and get some sort of pinch, just to try and be some sort of distraction. Mysta's got some rockets though, and maybe this could be the push that Flying Dutchman need to get back on the board.
Maybe this could be the push. Maybe that's the opening they need. The double kill comes through, finds a 3rd player as well, and he's going to try and block these spawns. Unfortunately, NaVi has 3 players that have tried to overextend, so Slays are going to have to come through. The spawns over a shotgun get blocked, and because of it, a player spawns on Thrust right behind So Snakey with this flag, and now he needs help to get this flag any further.
And he dives on the flag, but he's going to die for it. And that means that NaVi should be able to successfully return it. And even though, you know, I love aggression, I love people trying to get those kills by diving down towards the shotgun area. You're completely right. You block the spawns, and you make it very difficult for your flag runner.
It's okay to do if the flag is already through halfway, but because the flag wasn't through tree, that's where the big blunder is, because you get that free damage on the flag carrier. It'll force Snakey to stop running it. And now Flying Dutchman against the ropes once again. NaVi in control of the map and in control of the clock with their favor. Minute 45 left in this game to see if Flying Dutchman have any answer.
That's a big kill from Mysta, but Jimbo should be there to clean it up. Does clean it up. And now for NaVi, is the best form of defense offense here? Are they going to look to pull a flag? Yes is the answer to that question. 3 are dead for Flying Dutchman right now. So NaVi desperately trying to find out where these spawns are going to be.
If I'm NaVi, I do not panic about this flag. I almost want to stop running it and make sure we get the Slays. The one thing you cannot do is afford a counter cap opportunity if this flag does get shut down and returned. I like this play by Respectful. He actually can basically hear me, even though we're in completely different rooms at this point. At the fact that he stops running that and decides to slay. Unfortunately, NaVi go 3 dead anyways, and Flying Dutchman able to get the return, able to get a little bit of map control, and this might be the last opportunity we see from them in game 1.
And how many times do we see this? 1 minute left on the clock, 1 flag needed. It is so often that this flag gets captured and we go to overtime. Flying Dutchman will be hoping they can do something similar, but with Snakey falling, that means now NaVi are going to have the player advantage, make that a 2-player advantage. So Flying Dutchman need to wait, they need to reset, give themselves about 20 seconds to try and get this pull.
Last 2 members in the bar trying to work together, but they're going to be surrounded shortly. Giving up their position was a big mistake, and with that mistake, they stagger the respawns of the Flying Dutchman because both of them get taken down without any success. And because of that, now Flying Dutchman with 3 dead look to be in their last few moments of game 1, and I don't believe they're going to have the opportunity to get a touch here.
Especially now Respectful's got the dynamos. He can make sure he's a real pain in the backside. Flying Dutchman have to quite literally fly to the other side of the map to get a pull here, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It's in the name, but they're going to need equipment to do it, I believe, because that grapple, it appears to be up, but nobody going to be near it as Respectful denying the middle of the map. 4 dead for Flying Dutchman. And NaVi do just that. They get the Slays they need. The defense stands true when they needed it most. And because they were able to get the 1 cap on the board towards the middle of that game, it was just enough to get the job done in game 1.
Yeah, and NaVi, they carry on their kind of success through scrims and they carry it into competitive tournament play. That's what you want to see from a team. You put it into practice, and now you need to make it work when you get into a competitive environment. And even though it wasn't as smooth as scrims, it wasn't a 3-0, it wasn't a 3-1, they got that 1 flag that they needed. And in a very hotly contested game with 8 incredible players all on the map, sometimes 1 flag is all you need.
And to be honest, as we took a look at the series layout from the desk before the series started, this was one of the game types that we thought may favor Flying Dutchman. So if you're NaVi, Dan, to win game 1 in the fashion that you did, no matter how it was done, what does this mean for the series going forward?
I think that now NaVi have got a difficult game out of the way, regardless of whether they've had success in scrims or not. Bazaar CTF is not particularly a game that anyone enjoys to play because it is so hard to get those flags. And you have to sweat so much. You have to focus every single moment that you are on that map. You cannot afford to drop the ball whatsoever, otherwise you get punished. And some teams play very defensive. It is sometimes not enjoyable because of the way that people play this game. That's just how it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush.
Oh, I love it.
The way that NaVi have played that one is they always looked like they wanted to go forward, but as you said, they had an approach. It was a step-by-step process. They would take one side of the map, they would then gain the middle of the map, they would wait for the power-ups, and then they would push and get the flag.
One of the things we talked about in the middle of that game, Dan, was sometimes we knock NaVi for playing too slow, for playing too methodical. That methodical play on a map like Bazaar CTF is almost necessary, like you're saying, in order to find some success. And although it wasn't the easiest win, although Bazaar CTF's typically not the prettiest map mode combination we have, the job got done for NaVi. They keep their tournament streak intact. Their winners bracket run continues to look strong. And as we go into game 2, being Aquarius Slayer, talk to me about what each of these two teams should look forward to find success.
Again, it was something Jersey mentioned on the desk. Also, he needs to stop taking my stats off of me at this point. We've spent too much time together. He's become the stats man.
It's because y'all are like best friends. You tell him everything, and now he's using it against you.
Oh, so it's the Padawan's becoming the Jedi Master at this point. But it's a game type that's gone in favor of Na'Vi. The most recent scrim was 50-45, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. 5 kills, that could very easily be swayed another way just on one camouflage, just on picking up the heat wave, for example. So this is going to be a very important game here for the Flying Dutchman.
A very important game. You do not want to go down 2-0 in the winner's bracket semifinals. Let me remind everyone at home, this series, the winner will find themselves with a free ticket to Kansas City, an opportunity to compete against the world's best on the biggest stage. But in order to get there, it's a lot of work to do for both these teams still left in this series. In game 2 underway, Respectful's point of view tries to be aggressive bottom middle. He gets denied, and it looks like Flying Dutchman once again jump out to at least a little bit of map control, although they do lose 2 members.
Aquarius is certainly a map for Na'Vi where they just feel at home. It plays the way they want to play. They can play with structure, but they can also play with pace when they need to. That's a big stick from MOSE, as you mentioned. Camo has gone in favor of Jimbo, though.
We saw Flying Dutchman really dominate the power weapon, power up stories towards the start of game 1. They weren't able to get any objective done, but already Na'Vi doing a good job to keep that out of their hands. But unfortunately, Camo not really a presence on the map there as we see Jimbo taken down.
What I will say is that Aquarius Slayer, if it was a 50-45 in scrims, then that suggests that Flying Dutchman were never really outplayed. It came right down to the wire, and I think if they can take a lot from that, maybe they can find some way to shut Na'Vi's presence down, and perhaps there is consistent camouflages. It's not allowing them to snowball out of control, and it's this, focusing on those dynamo grenades. They are so important.
Show me something, Clonely. What do you have in your bag of tricks? Great dynamo grenade placement will reward you with the opening pick. Now, all of Na'Vi seem to be trapped in the back of blue. They're trying to push out pink side of the map, but I believe Flying Dutchman had the read on him. Unfortunately, the heat wave, it deletes the page of the book that we would have seen Flying Dutchman be able to have that advantage with, and 3 dead. You hate to see that with as much control as it appeared Flying Dutchman had with that push.
I mean, Na'Vi just played the reverse Uno card there. Flying Dutchman thought that they were going to be walking into 3 kills, but Na'Vi came swooping in with the heat wave, and that's what you've got to be very careful of. You cannot expect easy kills at any point in this match. It's 8 players who, in their given right, can win every single individual battle.
Still up. Flying Dutchman, just a few kills, but this heat wave worth its money in kills right now as Jimbo deletes 2, somehow stays alive as he was no shield throughout a majority of that combat loop. And Jimbo had a very strong first series of the day. One of the players I really think brings Na'Vi to their ceiling when he's playing at his highest level, and he's looked to continue that here in game 2.
Camouflage for Clonely. Not done enough with it for me, though. Jimbo manages to get the kill, and as you said, Jimbo has been that player who really does step up and shine for Na'Vi when they need it most. Also, just touching on the heat wave, the switch from vertical to horizontal is very important, and just having the discipline to do that is also good.
Can't be dying to grenades like that, because usually 1 kill in a Slayer in a small map like Aquarius will turn into multiple kills. As we see Flying Dutchman get that easy kill on Respectful, and it has turned into a few in a row now, up 18-15.
In the most recent open series where these two teams competed against each other, Na'Vi did get the better of Flying Dutchman, so in the last competitive match that they faced against each other, Na'Vi also had the better result. The Flying Dutchman, they've done enough against Na'Vi to believe in themselves here, and they have a 4-kill lead. If they can turn this into an 8-kill lead, and things start to get a little bit shaky for Na'Vi.
I like the map control they have so far. Clonely trying to spot some players and some good teamwork out of the boys in blue here, unfortunately. That first kill immediately answered back. That was 4 dead for Flying Dutchman. Na'Vi do a good job to try and tie this one up, but still just down 3 kills. But with map control, you could see this swing in their favor very shortly.
Can we just shout out Clonely for a second after he gets that kill? Not only has he looked really good in this series, but he got dropped by Blackhand. He then beats them in the previous series, finds himself in the winner semis with his Dutchman roster. Such an amazing feeling for Clonely.
So often, and as a player, you have so many teammates that have so much history against the enemy teams that you start to play against throughout tournaments that it's rewarding for you to beat your old team, and then you say to your teammate, I want you to beat your old team, so you step up, and that's what Clonely's doing here. 11-4-6 here in game 2. Clonely wants to make this a series to remember for MOSE, because wouldn't that be a day for them to all get revenge on their previous teams?
The Flying Dutchman Revenge Tour. It could be beginning to happen, but as we have been speaking about how well they've performed, NaVi have been able to turn this one around. They've got the lead. Respectful's got both the camouflage and the heat wave, and they've also got Flying Dutchman on a little bit of a spawn cycle here.
Yeah, they need to figure out a way to get out of this situation. Unfortunately, this heat wave, this camo paired with it, Respectful, able to just trap them pinkside the base, and this is such a difficult position from Flying Dutchman to try and fight out of. They lose all 4 members once again, so Snakey, the first one off respawn, and if he gives his position away too quickly, look at NaVi and how quickly they're going to collapse on the Dynamo side of the map now, because, I mean, Flying Dutchman have to figure out a way to release some of this pressure now that they've lost the lead.
Similarly to Bazaar, when we saw what NaVi did with map control, they got a flag. Well, what they're doing with map control, they're getting more kills to give them a more significant lead than what Flying Dutchman did when Flying Dutchman had map control. It's a 7-kill difference. And Respectful, he can grab this thruster, and that means he's going to be a pain in the backside to try and kill in any BR fight.
Respectful with the thrust to the side, using the entire sandbox at his disposal so far throughout this life. He had the camo, he had the heat wave, now he's got thrust to pair with it. This equipment paying dividends for Respectful as they've blown this game wide open now 50-30, 40-30.
50-30, it would be game over, but I tell you what, it's going to be heading that way, Clutch, with the way we're playing right now. NaVi, a 9-kill lead. They look comfortable. Some more dynamos for Respectful. We've got the heat wave in the back pocket. This is your dream on Aquarius. You just don't want to give them to the other team.
Yeah, momentum is such a difficult thing to get back on Aquarius. It's so difficult to close the gap in large scores, and already a 9-point lead now for NaVi as they make it 10 with that beautiful bait and switch. Just playing that corner so well, denying entrance into the closet. And you can see Flying Dutchman still on the ropes as this game continues to go towards the NaVi side.
They're on the ropes, and they're about to be clotheslined over the top and out of it in a minute, because NaVi do not look like they're going to slow down whatsoever. 45 now. They only need 5 more kills. And Flying Dutchman, if they are able to get a camo, no, they're not able to. Jimbo gets it. This might just be the final nail in the coffin.
Jimbo, camo, thrust, battle rifle in hand, shows some trigger discipline, shows the use of the pings to give an exact location of the enemies. Flying Dutchman forced to trade in these positions, and trading is not going to be a winning recipe here. Just 2 more kills needed.
2 more kills needed, and it's about how they get them, you imagine. A 10-kill difference. Flying Dutchman cannot afford to let 1 kill slip through their fingers, otherwise NaVi, you know, will just jump on that final push. They are going to be patient about it. They don't need to be stupid. The Flying Dutchman, they probably lost this one already.
No, NaVi, too much veteranship on this team, too much experience to let this one slip away. And as the second kill comes through, it's a double for Jimbo. 18 for the game, and Jimbo, he had himself one hell of a first series in Winners Bracket Round 1 today. You know how bad he wants to find himself in Kansas City. He makes sure Game 2 goes their way.
NaVi were the best placing team in Raleigh, yet they're still not considered the best team in Europe. And I think they want to prove themselves, not just at this tournament, but when we get to KC. First step, get to the final so you can play Ascend and also qualify for KC in the same match and the same manner. That's what the job is. They've got, so far, they've got a 2-0 lead, and statistically, I mean, they had an amazing performance. There was a slow start, but I think that says a lot about NaVi. I think they do start slow sometimes in some of these maps, but the way they picked up when they had control was excellent.
If you're the Flying Dutchman, the one thing that I can say we can credit you for so far throughout the series is you have started the game strong. You have looked good midway through the game. It is that mid-game where you have lost the opportunity to take either Game 1 or Game 2. And now, a shot at destiny. NaVi might find themselves with one more game win in this series. It'll be the the winners finals that I've been talking about all weekend, that I've been looking forward to. A date with Ascend is on the rise if NaVi can punch one more game through in their favor. But the Flying Dutchman, you don't want to let that happen. You are so close to going to Kansas City, and if you lose this series, there's going to be so much more work you have to do. And unfortunately, being down 2-0, Dan, it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good for the Flying Dutchman. They need a reverse sweep. And just going back to starting strategies and how Flying Dutchman have been performing well, you could say the same about J Lings. They started well against Ascend. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about the lower seeded teams studying the tape of the higher seeded teams, learning their starting strategies, and then being able to have a fantastic start because they can perform some sort of counter. It's easy to do when you're the lower team because you've got more tape to study of those bigger teams. But Oddball Li-Fi is going to be the next game, and bad news if you're a Flying Dutchman fan, this is another game that went in favor of NaVi in both of the scrims they had in recent weeks. It was 2-1 both times, though, so it has been a close one, and even with the points scored, it was like 240-something to 180-something, so it was very close.
Close doesn't get the job done if you're Flying Dutchman. And unfortunately, game 1 was close, just a 1-0 lead, but the objective was not able to be accomplished. We'll see if that's a different story as we jump into game 3 here. The Flying Dutchman, they were against the ropes in game 2 with a little bit of air, maybe a timeout, maybe a pause in gameplay. Will game 3 be a different story? To me, Dan, a very difficult thing to do is to find your footing in the middle of the game when it gets chaotic, and I feel like the Flying Dutchman, yes, they start strong in these games, but it is those moments where they need to figure out a way to catch their breath that they have struggled with. We'll see if that story changes here. 2 Foxy trying to pressure Overshield side of the map at the start. And already, numbers in favor of NaVi.
You speak about catching your breath as well. Flying Dutchmen have come right off the back of a best of 5 that went all the way down to the wire, whereas NaVi have had a little break. Sometimes you can talk about momentum, but also you've got to talk about focus. You've got to talk about how can you keep playing game after game at the highest standard. Sometimes it's difficult to do so. I wonder whether we're seeing an after effect of Flying Dutchmen putting everything into that previous series.
Yeah, you know a game 5 50-49 win is a hell of an adrenaline rush to have. Unfortunately, adrenaline does run out. And when that adrenaline runs out, you almost feel depleted as a player. Is that something that we're seeing from the Flying Dutchman right now? Because it is the last time in their history of these careers for these players that they want to run out of gas. We'll see if they have something left in the tank here. It's an early lead for NaVi. The ball in a great position for them if they can get a few slays here to take an early lead in game 3 as well.
Of course, as a reminder, this is still the winner's bracket, so the loser of this drops down to the elimination bracket, and Flying Dutchman, if they were to lose, would still have a chance to get to Kansas City and get further in this tournament, fighting through that elimination bracket tomorrow, or maybe later today, depending on where they fall, but most likely tomorrow, as Foxy tries to get involved, but Snakey takes him out.
The ball's not played. Flying Dutchman, 3 dead. Jimbo, last guy alive, somehow finds a grenade kill. Can't quite hit the no-scope, but the stick.
Wow.
And a double kill with just grenades in hand. Allow Flying Dutchman to maybe get some ball time, but NaVi gonna have the numbers advantage very early in this setup. Let's see if they're able to break it.
Open Series number 9, these two teams competed against each other on this map, and it also went in favor of NaVi. So all the stats, all the history is pointing towards the boys in yellow and black. What have Flying Dutchman done to change what they did in previous scrims and previous series is my question, as Clonely hits a double kill and will grab some ball time. This could be, you know, an amazing reset, an amazing comeback if Flying Dutchman can really turn the tides here in this game.
Difficult piece now is the power-up was just up, and I believe it's in the hands of NaVi. Although MOSE has found this snipe, the ball is still back tower, so you're able to rack up some significant time. The camo player actually gets spotted. A good job by MOSE and the boys to take down that camo player. Unfortunately, that setup, it's broken, and I don't believe the ball was played.
MOSE falls as well, gives away the sniper, so that sniper and the heat wave now in the hands of NaVi, and as you said, ball doesn't get played originally, but now will be played, and just at the right time for NaVi to swoop in, take it, and take it over to House. And actually, Respectful's going to double back on himself. I like this. He's not really sure where currently the team were off Flying Dutchman, but he knows full well where Jimbo was, so he runs it towards his team.
Respectful has heat wave snipe and ball in hand. Very selfless play by him right here. You want to see him give it to a teammate, but just not given the room right now in order to do so. You know when they feel comfortable that that exchange will be made, and this could be that moment, as they did just momentarily have the 4 members of Flying Dutchman dead. Unfortunately, Respectful rotates it towards the spawner. That stick might have come through. No, just the blue armor, but a little bit of an error there from NaVi. Not sure where you should have gone with the ball, and we'll see if they're punished because of it.
I think they were really struggling to work out where Flying Dutchman was spawning, and I think that was because Flying Dutchman had a split spawn, so NaVi were undecided as to where they wanted to go. Because of that, Flying Dutchman stay very much within this game, and a double kill from Mysta will allow and should allow a little bit of time to be gathered here by the boys in blue.
He knows this player spawning towards the elbow location, just doesn't quite know where that player is. He's removed. The staggered spawns of NaVi are going to make this a difficult setup to break momentarily, and Mysta hit the headshot on the player trying to come through Brutes alone, and that once again staggers the respawners and the potential push from NaVi, and this is Flying Dutchman's opportunity to run away with round 1.
And this is arguably one of the biggest games of Mysta's career. I've really enjoyed the trajectory from this player, moving from someone who is around top 16, top 12 at one point in his career, now is fighting for top 4. if not even further with how this Flying Dutchman roster has looked. Remember, of course, this is to get into the Winners Bracket finals right now. Jimbo with Camouflage, though, maybe trying to make sure that they are the team that finds themselves there.
The third camo of the game going in NaVi's hands. It's just a matter of time before they become impactful. Heatwave paired with it makes that an easy kill for Jimbo. The ball is, however, played. And throughout that process, the ball was not played by Flying Dutchman, so you see NaVi able to at least get a little bit of comeback momentum going in their favor here. Jimbo forced to trade in that situation, and Flying Dutchman get the ball right back to tower. You can clearly tell, Dan, that they love this tower setup. It's just a matter of how long they can hold it.
I think keeping that ball over towards tower is a good idea, because if it gets scrappy and over towards garage, it's a difficult game to try and maneuver. It's a difficult game to try and really get your grasp of. And because of that, NaVi have struggled necessarily to really put the ball in the place they want to get it as well. We've seen so much indecisiveness when they've had the ball in the middle of the map.
So often in Oddball, I feel, especially on live fire, do you see scrappy time collected, scrappy setups, and I feel like that's benefited the Flying Dutchman so far throughout this first round. A lot of Oddball to be played, just 1:23 on the clock, however. So as that clock starts to become a factor, as that ball is neutral, the Flying Dutchman may be able to play with a couple factors in their benefit towards the end of this first round.
Yeah, they have the lead, so in theory they could just slay for an entire minute if they wanted to, but I don't think that will be the plan just yet. Instead, you slay while you can, and if the time presents itself where you can pick up the ball, for sure, you try and get a little bit of a setup on the go, as Clonely is doing some amazing work bottom middle.
Clonely was one of these players I didn't know much about coming into the weekend, but he's making his presence felt yet again. He had a very strong Game 2 performance, and now Clonely and the Flying Dutchman, with ball in hand, look to control this first round.
Clonely was a good Halo 3 player. There was a lot of questions asked about him after Rally and his performance when he was on Bing Chilling. He got dropped by the team that is now Blackhand. He's back on Flying Dutchman. He's performing very well. He's making up for that position that he found himself in, where there was a lot of... I think he was a scapegoat. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think he was necessarily the problem with that roster, but he found himself dropped, and he's making up for it here.
Hey, Clonely, I've been there. I've been the scapegoat for my team. I've also won a national championship after it, so we'll see what the rest of your career has in store for you. Unfortunately, Kimbo has a bullet to your body from this sniper rifle in store for you for this life. He does play his life very well as he's able to get his shield back off screen, but MOSE picking up a massive double as Clonely was able to distract that sniper. May just be the opening the Flying Dutchman needed to break this setup, and now as Kimbo plays his life very well back tower, he's going to be by himself. And now, an opportunity to maybe be sneaky. Is this ball neutralized with 7 seconds left, and NaVi need to act now?
You've got to grab the ball. Surely you've got to go for it at this point. 3 seconds, if you don't touch it, you just lose this round.
Yeah.
But there is no sort of desperation at all there from Kimbo. That's not good enough. I know full well that he's trying to maybe distract the other team to give a path to the rest of the squad, but there has to be some communication there where at least he tries to dive on it to give the rest of the team a chance to get close, but maybe NaVi just accepting they weren't in a position to do so, and Flying Dutchman take the opening round here in map number 3.
Yeah, that's an unacceptable play from him and the rest of NaVi, is no one desperating for that ball, no one giving up their life, and unfortunately the kill-death ratio, yeah, it looks good when we highlight it before and after games, before and after series, but it just costed you round 1 potentially. And what does Flying Dutchman's opportunity to stay in this series longer mean is something yet to be dictated.
Well, remember, it was a 2-1 both times they scrimmed each other on this map, so NaVi can at least go off history and say, look, there's no reason why we can't do it once more. But with the way Flying Dutchman have been playing, with the scrappy time they've been picking up, they've been making it very difficult for NaVi here.
Another camo in the hands of NaVi. However, you'd like to see Flying Dutchman focus on those power-ups more, but they remove it from the map, and last guy alive seems to be a tower. That ball all the way in-house. This is going to be an early lead for Flying Dutchman once again in round 2.
Foxy trying to do some work with the sniper rifle, and the rest of the team is actually pushing up on that ball. So this is going to be a little bit of a pinch. And a pinch becomes a punch with a sniper rifle. Double kill should be here for 2 Foxy, and now the rest of the team should be able to get that ball.
A good job by 2 Foxy to patiently wait for that player to just poke his head through the window. Finds the opening pick with it, a double, and now you're seeing NaVi regain the lead here momentarily as the push from Flying Dutchman seems to be from front house. Unfortunately, the player bottom middle, he's removed from another heat wave, and it's respectful with that heat wave that's had so much impact in Game 2. Finding some impact here in Game 3, but MOSE answers with a double of his own.
Foxy's still staying alive. If he was able to connect with that shot, there might have been still a big possibility of picking up some ball time, but Flying Dutchman shut down any sort of possibility of a setup for NaVi. They continue to get scrappy time. They've doubled the lead now that they have against NaVi, and they're also rotating this ball, recognizing where NaVi was spawning and where NaVi were pushing.
They've been so impressive with their rotations of the ball, with their plays of the ball, with the scrappy time they've been able to build. It's been the difference so far here in Game 3. It's potentially can push them to a Game 4, but it's only a matter of time for these camos, I think, Dan, to impact the game, because so many of them here in Game 3 have gone into the hands, and yet again, Kimbo able to secure this next one.
As we say that Flying Dutchman have been really good with their rotations. Colony does kind of toss the ball towards NaVi, but he was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think whichever way he went, he was giving the ball somewhere as 4 go down, as you mentioned, and now NaVi can look to try and get some real structure with their setup. Yeah,
this is the first real setup that we've seen from NaVi, I feel like, in this Game 3. And how strong of a setup will it be? Because Jimbo has sniped. He's doing work. He finds the double. It's as smooth as butter, and with it, the lead starting to grow in NaVi's favor.
Kimbo also in a position to try and catch any sneaky beavers behind him, but what NaVi are doing is trying to cover all of their avenues. Sometimes that can be a downside, especially if the Flying Dutchman were to decide to bring several players in one direction and overwhelm that. But unfortunately, they are sending one by one like lemmings, and NaVi are shutting them down.
Finally trying to use that repulsor to show you how much of a Flying Dutchman he is. Unfortunately, it's a very predicted route, and with it, he gives NaVi the numbers advantage they need to get a few more kills in their favor, continue the setup, and now all of a sudden, we'll be talking about a round 3 shortly if the Flying Dutchman don't act quick.
Snakey's going to have to move in, but what NaVi have been doing so successfully in the recent period is baiting and switching, making sure there is someone there to finish off those kills and putting their bodies on the line for their teammates, playing a little bit more selfless and not thinking necessarily as much about the kills. And they've been hitting a lot of sniper shots today. No matter who's had it in their hands, they've been connecting.
The big thing for me is the staggered respawners have been continued throughout this entire setup, and that's a perfect way to put a punctuation on round 2 as NaVi get one setup is all they need. They get the slays to pair with it, and they get a quick 100 points in round 2 to push this game the distance. And round 3 kicking off.
So different when you get that ideal setup, right? That's what NaVi have been wanting. That's what Flying Dutchman were denying in round number 1. They were keeping it scrappy. They were making NaVi fight in difficult areas that they weren't necessarily comfortable. But now NaVi looking to play in a far more structured manner, and they are looking far better because of it.
Yeah, respectful, quickly able to rotate across the entire map. Meets his teammates bottom middle. It's been a party. Bottom middle right now in round 3 for NaVi. They've got that ball towards the tower. And they're going to look to continue the exact same setup opportunity they just had in round 2, and we saw how successful it was there. Fortunately for Flying Dutchman, it feels like they got the slays they needed this time around to deny any more time from going in their hands, and ball stays on the map, so this is a great opportunity for them to get that same setup.
MOSE wants to use this sniper, but knows for well he had to grab the ball, and now he's going to put himself in a detrimental situation where he's just trying to fight his way out of such a horrible position, and instead just retreat. So what could have been some ball time, if he had played it correctly, unfortunately means he's on the back foot.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of those shots connect for MOSE, and because of it, they don't really find the openings they need. And just like that, NaVi somehow have that ball still back tower, as no one able to successfully play that ball. MOSE still alive with the snipe, but unfortunately, it's like he's playing his life almost too well this time around, because NaVi are going to rack up some time. And just like that, the staggered spawns will once again affect Flying Dutchman's opportunity to push.
A moving, crouching, tactical teabag. It's just teabagging at this point, as 2Foxy lets MOSE know as they're starting to feel themselves here. NaVi, I think they know where this series is going, regardless of, even if this map didn't go their way. They feel like the better side here against Flying Dutchman. Even though Flying Dutchman toppled them once upon a time in online competition, and there was a lot of questions asked about this side, NaVi are looking on top of their game here, right now.
This setup feels so comfortable for NaVi as they find the first 2, make it a 3rd, and now just 50 points away from Kansas City. From a date with destiny against Ascend in the winners bracket finals of this EU Super. Can Flying Dutchman break this setup? They couldn't in round 2, and Kimbo with a killing spree is going to waste away any opportunity the Flying Dutchman may have.
66-1. And Flying Dutchman are really struggling to get going in this round number 3. Cloney at least opens up the kill onto Kimbo, but with 2Foxy having camouflage, it makes things very difficult as more ball time is still being gathered. And as you said, it's getting closer now to being inevitable that we will see NaVi versus Ascend in our winners bracket final. That's the 1 and 2 seed. That's who we expected to be getting there, and everything's playing out as it should.
And the play ball. What a play by 2Foxy to reset that ball. stop Flying Dutchman from getting any time so far in this third round. They have 1 point, and only 1 point is 88 unanswered points from NaVi have been acquired. And NaVi, with all the momentum in their favor, Respectful with another heat wave. You can tell how consistently he's focused on this weapon throughout this series, how many opportunities it's given NaVi, and because of it, they're just moments away, it feels, to punching their ticket to the winners final.
Yeah, you just look at the kill difference in this round, and Flying Dutchman just haven't really been on the map.
Oh.
Kimbo has the sniper rifle, but not able to connect, similarly to what we saw when MOSE had it in his hands earlier. But maybe he can show something off for us here. Maybe he can start a little montage clip. There's the first, or it should have been the first, but it doesn't connect with the BR shot.
You could see the vision. Just the execution may be lacking a little bit there, but room for error. NaVi have built themselves because of this magnificent lead here, 72-3, and Flying Dutchman. You got plenty of time on the clock, but unfortunately, it's almost perfect Halo required to come back in this one, and it feels like since the middle of the second round, Dan, they just haven't had the numbers advantage they need to get any time at all.
Yeah, NaVi have been very effective with how they slay and where they move and how they position themselves. So far, Respectful's got his hands on a sniper rifle. They've got hands of the ball, drop ball as well. Everything's there! And Respectful sends a bullet straight through the brain of Snakey. And I think NaVi know what's about to come. It's going to be another 3-0 for one of our top two teams, and we're seeing the difference between our top two squads and the rest of Europe.
And what will that winners finals have in store for us tomorrow is the question, because I needed to see more out of NaVi coming into today, and they showed me everything I need to see to make me think they can compete with Europe's best as they try to end this game 3 with a punctuation. Respectful still with the snipe in hand, just one bullet in the chamber, puts it to use, gives his team numbers. 3 dead for Flying Dutchman, and the last player alive needs to make one hell of a play to try and keep them in this.
NaVi think they are the best team in Europe, and they will have the chance to show us so in the winners bracket finals, because they need 4 more points. Respectful's teabagging, and there will be the victory here for the boys in black and yellow. It's a 3-0 winners bracket finals, and Kansas City is secured.
An unbelievable performance. We thought that this was going to potentially go the distance, Dan. The Flying Dutchman looks so strong throughout not only pool play, but their first winners bracket as well. With a 3-2 victory, 50-49, you wondered if that momentum was something they could build off of, or if it was going to almost take away and suck the energy out of them going into the series, and it looks like the latter was the case. It's unfortunate for those boys, but they still will have an opportunity in the elimination side of the bracket. But as we take a look at the stats, although we saw a round 1 win for the Flying Dutchman, the difference between 247 and 89 is massive.
Yeah, that was a very dominant performance from NaVi, really, when you look at the slays and you look at what they were able to achieve in those rounds 2 and 3. They just needed a bit more structure. I think Flying Dutchman played it very well in round 1, where they made it messy, they made it scrappy, and NaVi were a little bit frustrated because of that. But as soon as NaVi found that structure, they were so comfortable, and they were almost having fun. Like they were playing like they were in a game where